When you knock down those massive apartment houses and they say nobody was injured, nobody was hurt, there were no deaths, they're lying to you. Millions of people are dead. Would have never happened. Those cities and those cultures are all destroyed. You can never rebuild them. You can never rebuild them, certainly not the way they were. But all of that was just the beginning. Here's just some of the agenda we will immediately implement when we become, we're going to become the 47th President of the United States. I will totally obliterate the deep state. We fired Comey, we got rid of a lot of scum. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after I win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. It's going to be settled. I know them both. It's going to be settled quickly. It'll be done very quickly, and I'm the only candidate who can make this promise to you. I will prevent World War III, and we're a lot closer than anyone knows. We are a lot closer to World War III than anyone knows, and that will be a war like no other. That will be obliteration. This isn't army tanks going back and forth shooting at each other. This is weaponry like nobody can even imagine. You don't even want to talk about it. On my first day back in the White House, I will terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration and begin the largest deportation operation in American history. And I will also use Title 42 to end the child trafficking crisis by returning all trafficked children to their families in their home countries, and that will be done immediately. They want to go home. They want to go home. Horrible what they've done to children. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the heads of our children. And I will not give one penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or mask mandate. No mandates. I will immediately close the Federal Department of Education, and we will move everything back to the states where they can individualize education and do it with love for our children. You know, we spend a fortune on education. We spend more than any other country in the world by far. It's not even close. And we're last. Out of 40, we're 38, 37, sometimes even 40. We're last. So we spend sometimes 3 times. You have Denmark, you have Sweden, you have Norway, you have China is at the very top of the list a lot. And we're like last, and yet we spend 2 and 3 times more money per pupil than they do. We're going to end that. South Carolina will run their own. Do you like that idea, Henry? You'll do a great job. If you have the right people, you're going to do a great job. It can't be worse than what's happening right now. So many people in Washington, building after building. We need maybe 2 or 3 people just to make sure they are teaching English in our schools. Say, is everybody teaching English? Okay, you qualify. I think South Carolina, as an example, in particular, a place like South Carolina would do an unbelievable job with education, and they do it with love. I will keep men out of women's sports. I've been talking about this for so long. And I will sign a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, Yvette? Can you imagine even saying that? Having to even say, child, think of it. I was thinking the other night, I was making a speech. I said, I will not allow child mutilation. Child mutilation, the word is such a horrible word. And we won't allow it in our country. And can you imagine saying that 10 years ago? People would say, what the hell is he talking about? And actually today it's a big, they mutilize. I mean, they want to mutilate your children. These people are sick. Just as I did for 4 years, I will fully uphold the Second Amendment. They gained no traction. They're gaining traction now. They're playing with your bullets, your ammunition. They're gaining a lot of traction right now. But, you know, keeping men, by the way, just to go back, keeping men out of women's sports, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And you have to look at some of these records. A great one is weightlifting, where for years and years, 18 years, this record stood, and you had this great female athlete. She was going to break the record. Her parents were there. They were all so happy. They're so proud. And they put like a quarter of an ounce on each end, right? And she went up and up and up. Oh, and she didn't make it. Then a guy comes on stage. he just became, I guess, female, right? Is that a correct statement? He just became female. He lifted that sucker